Fugu is a traditional Japanese dish known for its delicate taste and unique texture. This fish, found mainly in waters around Japan, is famous for its lethal potential, as it contains a highly toxic substance called tetrodotoxin. Tetrodotoxin is a powerful neurotoxin that can cause muscle paralysis and even death in very small doses. It affects the nervous system by blocking sodium channels in nerve cells, thus disrupting nerve impulse transmission. This can lead to respiratory paralysis and cardiovascular failure. The main reason fugu is dangerous is that the toxin is concentrated mainly in the fish's liver, ovaries, and skin, and even a small amount of this substance can be fatal. To prepare fugu safely, Japanese chefs undergo years of specialized training. Only licensed professionals are authorized to prepare and serve fugu. Still, occasional deaths are recorded due to human error. To avoid poisoning, fugu should only be consumed in specialized restaurants that follow strict hygiene and preparation standards. Cassava, manioc. Cassava is a root vegetable popular in many parts of the world, especially in Latin America, Africa, and Asia. It is used to make cassava flour, tapioca, and other food products. However, this root contains cyanide in its raw form. Cassava contains cyanogenic glycosides, which break down into cyanide when consumed. Cyanide is an extremely toxic poison that interferes with oxygen transport in cells, causing respiratory failure, coma, and death. There are two varieties of cassava, sweet and bitter. Sweet cassava contains low levels of cyanide, but bitter cassava, more common in parts of Africa and Brazil, has higher levels and is particularly dangerous. If improperly prepared, cassava can release cyanide in lethal amounts. Cassava must be well cooked or processed properly to remove the poisonous compounds. In many cases, cassava is fermented before consumption, which helps eliminate the toxin. Chard, or wild beet. Chard is a leafy green vegetable commonly used in various cuisines around the world, in salads and cooked dishes. However, some varieties of chard and wild beet contain toxic substances called oxalates. Oxalates are compounds that bind to calcium in the body and form insoluble crystals, which can lead to kidney stones. In large quantities, oxalates can be extremely harmful, causing serious kidney damage and digestive issues. While oxalates are not as dangerous as other food toxins, excessive consumption can be harmful to health, especially for people with kidney problems or a predisposition to kidney stones. The leaves of chard, for example, contain higher levels of oxalates than the stalks, so care should be taken when consuming them in large quantities. To minimize the risks, it is recommended to cook chard before consuming it. Cooking can significantly reduce the amount of oxalates present. Avoiding excessive consumption is also an important measure. Amanita mushrooms, Amanita phalloides. The Amanita phalloides, commonly known as the death cap mushroom, is one of the most poisonous mushrooms in the world. It is found primarily in Europe and North America and can be confused with some edible mushroom varieties, such as the button mushroom. The primary toxin found in Amanita phalloides is amatoxin. It inhibits RNA polymerase in cells, disrupting protein synthesis and leading to organ failure, especially in the liver and kidneys. Even a small amount of Amanita mushroom can be fatal if consumed. The symptoms of poisoning can take between 6 to 12 hours to appear, which makes diagnosis and treatment difficult. Initially, it can cause nausea, vomiting, and abdominal cramps, but within days, it can lead to liver failure and multi-organ failure. The best precaution is to avoid foraging for wild mushrooms without proper knowledge. People should buy mushrooms from trusted sources or, if amateur foragers, ensure they have the necessary knowledge and experience to correctly identify mushrooms. Raw pistachio. Pistachios are a popular nut consumed in many countries, both raw and roasted. However, when consumed raw, they may contain aflatoxins, toxic substances produced by certain types of fungi, such as Aspergillus flavus. Aflatoxins are highly potent mycotoxins that can cause severe liver damage, including cirrhosis and cancer. Aflatoxins can accumulate in grains, nuts, and seeds, especially when stored improperly, in hot and humid environments. Aflatoxins are highly carcinogenic and can be fatal in high doses. While pistachios are safe when roasted or properly processed, consuming raw pistachios can pose a health risk. Buying pistachios from trusted sources and ensuring they have been adequately processed and stored can minimize the risk of exposure to aflatoxins. Acai, improperly prepared. Acai is a tropical fruit native to the Amazon region, especially popular in smoothies, juices, and acai bowls. The fruit itself is not poisonous, but when improperly stored or prepared, it can become contaminated with pathogenic bacteria, such as Salmonella and E. coli. The danger does not come from the fruit itself, but from the risk of bacterial contamination. When acai is stored or handled improperly, it can become a breeding ground for harmful microorganisms that can cause severe food poisoning. Fresh acai should be consumed immediately after harvesting or processed properly to avoid bacterial proliferation. Consuming improperly stored or prepared acai can result in serious health problems, including intestinal infections. When consuming acai, it is important to ensure that it has been stored properly and purchased from reliable sources. Avoid consuming acai that is not within its ideal storage conditions. Apple seeds. While the apple itself is a healthy and popular fruit, its seeds contain a toxic substance called amygdalin, which breaks down into cyanide when ingested. Amygdalin is a cyanogenic glycoside, which can release cyanide into the body when metabolized. Cyanide is a highly toxic substance that interferes with the body's ability to use oxygen, resulting in poisoning and, in severe cases, death. Although consuming a few apple seeds occasionally does not pose a significant risk due to the small amount of cyanide, eating large quantities of seeds can be extremely dangerous. However, it is important to note that the seeds must be crushed or chewed to release the toxin. To avoid the risks, simply remove the seeds from the apple before consuming it, especially in large quantities. Wild garlic. Wild garlic, found in some parts of the world, can be mistaken for inedible plants like lily of the valley. Common garlic is safe to consume, but some wild varieties may contain substances that cause severe poisoning. Wild garlic may contain compounds such as alkaloids and saponins, which are toxic in large quantities and can cause adverse reactions in the body. People who consume wild garlic without proper knowledge may end up ingesting poisonous plants, leading to severe intoxication. Only those with expertise in botany should forage wild plants. When buying garlic, ensure it comes from a trusted source. Green tomato. While the tomato is one of the most consumed vegetables worldwide, it is a member of the nightshade family, which also includes poisonous plants like deadly nightshade. Green tomatoes, especially when unripe, can contain solanine, a toxic substance. Solanine is an alkaloid that can cause nausea, abdominal pain, and digestive issues when consumed in large amounts. It is found in higher concentrations in the green fruit, leaves, and stems of the plant. Eating green, uncooked tomatoes can be dangerous, as solanine is more concentrated in these tomatoes. Be sure to consume ripe tomatoes, as the ripening process reduces solanine levels. Green potato. Like tomatoes, potatoes also belong to the nightshade family. When potatoes are exposed to light, they can turn green and accumulate solanine, making them toxic. Solanine is the same toxin found in green tomatoes and can cause symptoms such as nausea, vomiting, abdominal pain, and even coma in severe cases. Avoid consuming green potatoes or those with sprouts, as they contain higher concentrations of solanine.